Hey classmates, especially to you sir. I am Francis Amil and my partner is Orlando Castillo. Today, we will discuss to you about the Republic Act number 7920 or the new Electrical Engineering Law, an act providing for a more responsive and comprehensive regulation for the practice, licensing and registration of electrical engineers and electricians. Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the Philippines in Congress assembled. Article 1, the title and the definition of terms. Section 1, title. This act shall be known as the new Electrical Engineering Law. Section 2, definition of terms. As used in this act, the following terms shall mean. There are 13 examples. The practice of electrical engineering. A person is deemed to be in the practice of electrical engineering when he renders or offers to render professional electrical engineering service in the form of taking charge of the sale and distribution of electrical equipment and systems requiring engineering calculations or applications of engineering data. Next is the electric supply equipment. Is any equipment which produces, modifies, regulates, or controls the supply of electric energy. Next is the electric plants. Electric plants is an establishment or a system for the production and modification of electric energy. Next, power plant design refers to planning, specifying, coordinating, and layouting of electrical equipment in power plants, substation, and the like. Next is the substation. A substation is a part of an electrical generation, transmission, and distribution system. Substations transform voltage from high to low, or the reverse, or perform any of several other important functions. Next is the electrical system design. Electrical system design is the design of electrical systems. This can be as simple as a flashlight cell connected through two wires to a light bulb, or as involved as the space shuttle. Electrical systems are a group of electrical components connected to carry out some operation. Next, the voltage. Voltage is the pressure from an electrical circuit's power source that pushes charged electrons through a conducting loop, enabling them to do work such as illuminating a light. In brief, voltage equals pressure, and it is measured in volts. Current returns to the power source. Next, the kVA or the kilovolt ampere is the voltage times the current feeding an electrical load. Kilovolt ampere is 1000 volt amperes. Electrical power is measured in watts. The voltage times the current measured each instant. Next is the kW. kW stands for kilowatt. A kilowatt is simply 1000 watts, which is a measure of power. So a 1000 watt drill needs 1000 watts of power to make it work, and uses 1000 kilowatt per hour of energy in an hour. That's why if you leave a TV or computer on standby, it is still using power and creating a kilowatt per hour cost on your energy bill. Utilization equipment. Utilization equipment means equipment which utilizes electric energy for mechanical, chemical, heating, lighting, or similar purposes. Utilization equipment means equipment that utilizes electric energy for electronic, electromechanical, chemical, heating, lighting, or similar purposes. Next is the industrial plant or factory. Buildings for carrying on industrial labor. They built a large plant to manufacture automobiles. Plant, works, bottling plant, a plant where beverages are put into bottles with caps. brewery, a plant where beer is brewed by fermentation. Next is the commercial establishment. According to the act, a commercial establishment, which means premise where any trade, business, profession, or any work related with it is undertaken. Accordingly, a commercial establishment could include first example, a society registered under the Societies Registration Act 1860, registered or unregistered charitable or other trust. Next, journalistic and printing establishments, contractors and auditors establishments, quarries and mines not governed by the Mines Act 1952, educational or other institutes run for private gain, any premises where the business of banking, insurance, stocks and shares, brokerage or produce exchange in undertaken. This not include a factory registered under the Factories Act 1948, theaters and cinemas, restaurants and eating houses, residential hotels, clubs, other places public amusement or entertainment. Next is the institutional buildings. Institutional buildings include city halls, courthouses, judicial centers, police headquarters, detention facilities, military bases, transportation terminals like airports, railway stations, and bus stations, and educational facilities. Next is the watercraft. Watercraft, also known as water vessels or waterborne vessels, are vehicles used in water, including boats, ships, hovercraft, and submarines. Watercraft usually have a propulsive capability and hence are distinct from a simple device that merely floats, such as a log raft. Last is the electric locomotive. An electric locomotive is a locomotive powered by electricity from overhead lines, a third rail, or onboard energy storage such as battery or a supercapacitor. Electric locomotives are quiet compared to diesel locomotives since there is no engine and exhaust noise and less mechanical noise. Now we will go on in the Article 3. Section 10. Examination required. Examination required as an applicant, practice of electrical engineering in the Philippines. You should pass a technical examination except as otherwise specifically allowed under this act. That is required if you are an applicant. Section 11. Registration and license required. If you have a valid certificate of registration and a valid professional license from the commission, you can proceed or allowed to practice electrical engineering in the Philippines except as otherwise allowed under these acts. The Section 12. Examination fees. If you are wondering what is the purpose of the payment of the applicants, the payment divided into two. The 90% of the fees is to be treated as a special fund for the programs, projects, and activities of the commission, and the 10% shall be set aside as a trust fund for the establishment and maintenance of the center for continuing education and research. Section 13. The registration fees, license fees, and fines. Registration fees, license fees, and fines are prescribed by the board and approved by the commission, provided 50%. This 50% collection are to be treated as a special fund for programs, projects, and activities of the commission, and the other 50% shall be set up in a separate special fund for the supervisory and regulatory functions of the board. Okay, the Section 14. Exemption from examination and registration. In letter A, let's talk about the exemption from examination and registration of foreign electrical engineer, because there is a foreigner employee in our country, they don't know about this law. For because there for direction and installation of a special project or for any other specialized work subject to the following conditions. Foreign professionals are legally qualified to practice their own profession in their own country. Foreign professionals shall be limited only to the particular work for which they were contracted. The foreign professional shall secure a special permit from the Commission. Foreign professionals shall not engage in private practice on their own account, and that an exemption herein granted shall be good only for 6 months, renewable for another 6 months, at the discretion of the board, provided that in case the foreign professional ceases to be employed in accordance with this section and engages in an occupation requiring registration as electrical engineer, such professional must be registered under the provision of this act. The B is the no registration with a board shall be required of the following: engineering students, apprentice, undergoing training under a person holding a valid certificate of registration and a valid professional license under this act. Persons in charge of or supervising the operation, a registered electrical engineer on a national, city, provincial, or municipal government authority exercising legal jurisdiction over the electrical institutions. Okay. The section 15. Holding of examination. The examination should be given twice in the city of Manila and other places on dates that the board may recommend for determination of scheduling. To qualified applicants for examination, notice of admission shall be used not later than 10 days prior to the first of examination. Next is the section 16, qualifications and applications for registration as professional electrical engineer. Any person applying for registration as professional electrical engineer shall establish to the satisfaction of the board that on or before the date of registration he possesses the following qualification: he is a citizen of the Philippines, he have a good reputation with high moral values, he has not been finally convicted by the court of an offense involving moral turpitude, he is a holder of the degree of Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering from a university, school, college, academy, or institute duly constituted, recognized, and accredited by the Philippine government, and he is a registered electrical engineer with valid certificate of registration and professional license, and with 4 years or more of active practice reckoned from the date of his registration as a registered electrical engineer. Next is the section 17, qualification of applicants or registered electrical engineer examination. The difference between the section 16 and the 17 is the 16 is the qualification of applicants for registration, and the 17 qualification of applicants for registered. Qualification of applicants for registered electrical engineer examination. Any person applying for admission to the registered electrical engineering examination as herein provided shall establish to the satisfaction of the board that on or before the date of the examination he possesses the following qualification: he is a citizen of the Philippines, he is at least 21 years of age, he is of good reputation with high moral values, he has not been finally convicted by the court of an offense involving moral turpitude, and he is a holder of degree of Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering SEE from a university, school, college, academy, or institute duly constituted, recognized and accredited by the Philippine government. On the section 18, the qualifications of applicants for registered master electricians examination. Okay, applicants for the registered master electricians examination. Any person for admission to the registered master electrician examination herein provided shall establish to the satisfaction of the board that on or before the date of the examination he possesses the following qualification: he is a citizen of the Philippines, he is at least 18 years of age, he is of good reputation with high moral values, he has not been finally convicted by the court of an offense involving moral turpitude, and he has any of the following technical backgrounds. Okay, the section 19. As a prerequisite for section 19, scope of examination. As a prerequisite for registration as professional electrical engineer, registered electrical engineer, and registered master electrician, the applicant registered shall comply with the following requirements. First, the professional electrical engineer. Next, the registered electrical engineer. The applicant shall pass a written examination on the different subject or a group of subject as follows: the mathematics, engineering science and allied subject, electrical engineering professional subjects. Next is the registered master electrician. The applicants shall pass a written examination on the different subjects or group of subjects as follows: technical subjects, Philippine Electrical Code Parts 1 and 2. And the last, the section 20. The last I will discuss to you the section 20, and the other section of the Republic Act will discuss on my group with my group mate. The section 20, report of ratings. The Board of Electrical Engineering shall within 150 days after the date of completion of the examinations report the ratings obtained by each candidate to the commission.
So for the continuation of Article 3, examination and registration, I'm going to report the Section 21 to Section 30. Section 21, the examination of failed subjects. So to consider that have passed the license examination, you should obtain 70% or above 70%. To consider that have passed the license examination, that is the passing average of the license examination. So when an applicant failed to pass the examination, which only obtained 50% or lower than 50%, he or she can still retake the examination or allowed to take the examination until the applicant can obtain the passing average. Section 22, oath. So it must be prior to entering upon the practice of professional electrical engineer, registered electrical engineer, and registered master electrician, and all successful candidates in the examination shall be required to take a professional oath before the board. So for searching the other terms of oath in the dictionary, it means guarantee, commitment, or assurance. Section 23, issuance of certificates of registration and professional licenses. CPE. CPE means continuing professional education. It is important and have a complied requirements which is to pay the annual registration fees for 3 consecutive years, so that the license will serve as evidence that the licensed can lawfully practice his profession until the expiration of its validity. Every registrant satisfactorily meet all the requirements specified in this Act. Payment of the registration fee shall be issued a certificate of registration as a professional electrical engineer. Section 24. Continuing Professional Education Program. The CPA guidelines shall be prescribed and promulgated by the board subject to the approval of the Commission. The board shall incorporate in the said guidelines the creation of a CPA council that shall be composed of the officers coming from the board, the commission, the integrated and accredited electrical associations. Section 25. Integration of the electrical engineering professions. The electrical engineering professions shall be integrated into one national organization, which shall be recognized by the board as one and only integrated and accredited association of professional electrical engineers, and also shall receive the benefits and privileges appertinent to the listed membership only upon payment of the required membership fees and dues. Those who have been registered with the board but not members of the said organization shall be allowed to register as members of the said integrated organization within 3 years after the effectivity of this Act. Section 26. Sale of Professional Electrical Engineer. All licensed professional electrical engineers may obtain a sale of a design prescribed by the board bearing the registrant's name and the certificate number. Plans, specifications, reports, and other professional documents executed under the immediate supervision, and it shall be stamped on every sheet with said seal when filed with government authorities. But after the validity of professional license that expired, the registrant shall be allowed again to use his seal or stamp in the documents after he or she is reinstated to the practice of profession and reissued a new professional license. Section 27. Indication of registration professional license number. The professional electrical engineer shall be required to indicate his registration professional license number, the date registered and the date of its expiry in the documents he signs, in connection with the practice of his profession. Section 28. Refusal to issue certificates. The Board of Electrical Engineering shall not issue a certificate of registration to any person convicted by the court of any criminal offense involving moral turpitude, or to any person guilty of immoral or dishonorable conduct, or to any person of unsound mind. The board shall give the applicant a written statement setting forth the reasons for such action, which statement shall be incorporated in the records of the board. Section 29. Revocation of certificates of registration and suspension from the practice of the profession. The board shall have the power for proper notice and hearing for revoking any certificate registration of any registrant, and suspend from the practice of profession or for unprofessional or dishonorable conduct. and being a professional electrical engineer, it must have signed an affix seal on any plan, design, technical reports, valuation, estimate, specification, or other similar document or work. And it must be represented himself as having taken charge or supervise any electrical construction or installation, operation, maintenance of any electric plant, repair or electrical equipment, teaching of electrical engineering subjects or application, engineering principles and data. Section 30. Reissuance of revoked certificates and replacement of lost certificates. It is subject to the approval of the Commission after the expiration of 1 year from the date of revocation of a certificate. It may deem sufficient and entertain application for a new certificate in the same manner as application for an original one. It may exempt the applicant from the necessity of undergoing an examination. A new certificate of registration to replace any certificate that has been lost, destroyed, or mutilated may be issued to the rules of the board. Article 4. Sundry provisions relative to the practice of electrical engineering. Section 31. Field of practice. The field of practice for professional electrical engineers, registered electrical engineers, and registered master electrician shall be as follows. Professional electrical engineers includes the sole authority to sell electrical plans and to practice electrical engineering in its full scope. A registered electrical engineer includes the charge or supervision of operation and maintenance of electrical equipment in power plants, industrial plants, and repair of electrical supply and utilization equipment. A registered master electrician includes the installation, wiring, operation, maintenance, and repair of electrical machinery, equipment, and devices in residential, commercial, and in power plants. Section 32. Prohibitions in the practice of electrical engineering. No person shall offer to practice electrical engineering in the Philippines without having previously obtained a certificate of registration and a professional license from the Board of Electrical Engineering except as provided in Section 14. Attempt to use as his own certificate of registration, professional license, or sell of another. Giving false evidence of any kind to the board or to any member in obtaining professional license. Falsely impersonate any registrant of like or different name. Attempt to use a revoked or suspended certificate of registration or an expired professional license. Use in connection with his name or otherwise assume. Use or advertise any title or description tending to convey the impression that he is an professional electrical engineer without holding a valid certificate or a valid license. Sign a document involving electrical design, plan, technical specification, valuation, and the like on behalf of a professional electrical engineer. Section 33. Personnel required. In other installation where persons and properties are exposed to electrical hazards shall not have less than the following complement of professional electrical engineer, registered electrical engineer, and registered master electrician. electric plants with total installed generating capacity of any size and employing voltages of any standard ratings. Capacities up to 500 kilovolts amperes and employing voltages of up to 600 volts. Industrial plants or factories have a connected kVA load of any size and employing voltages of any standard rating. Connected loads up to 500 kilovolt amperes and employing voltage up to 600 volts. Watercrafts or electric locomotives. Installed generating capacity up to maximum size and voltage available in these units. For generating capacities is up to 500 kilovolt amperes kilowatts and employing voltages up to 600 volts. Section 34. Preparation of plans, supervision of installation, and application of the Philippine Electrical Code. It shall be unlawful for any person not authorized under this Act to prepare plans, designs for any electrical wiring, equipment, or system, and no installation. It shall be undertaken unless it have been prepared or by under the responsible charge and sealed by a professional electrical engineer, and a construction permit for the execution thereof is first secured. Section 35. Practice not allowed for firms and corporations. The practice of electrical engineering is a professional service admission to which is based on individual or personal qualifications. Hence, no firm or corporation may be registered or licensed as such for the practice of electrical engineering. However, persons properly qualified and licensed as professional electrical engineers may among themselves form a partnership, associations, and collectively render electrical engineering service. Individual members of such partnerships or associations shall be responsible for their own respective acts. Section 36. Posting of certificates. The owner or the person in charge of an electric plant, industrial plant or factory, commercial establishment, institutional building, watercraft shall post in a conspicuous place within such establishment certificate of registration of the engineers or electricians employed in such plant or establishment in a frame protected by transparent glass or equivalent. Section 37. Certificate of Specialty. These are the specific fields in which the applicants have specialized knowledge, training, and experience and have demonstrated their competence and expertise. The board shall, subject to the approval of the commission and after consultation with the said association, prescribe and issue the necessary guidance for the issuance of these certificates. Section 38. Foreign Reciprocity. No foreign engineer shall be admitted to take a board examination, be given a certificate of registration, or be entitled to any of the rights and privileges under this Act, unless the country of which he is a subject or citizen specifically permits Filipino engineers to practice within its territorial limits on the same basis as the subjects or citizens of such country. Section 39. enforcement of the act by officers of the law. It shall be the duty of all constituted officers of the law of the national government or any provincial, city, or municipal government to prosecute any person violating the provisions of this act. Section 40. Penalty Cause. Any person who shall violate any of the provisions of this act shall be guilty and shall be sentenced to a fine of not less than 10,000 pesos or more than 50,000 pesos or imprisonment for a period not less than 6 months nor more than 5 years or both at the discretion of the court.